Dun, dun. Okay. It says we're live, but I swear to God, if it does what it did the last time, I will be so
Man,
mad.
can you record it on StreamYard also, like as
Um,
backup or?
no, I think it's only if I have the premium plan. That's when they let you
Gotcha.
record.
Okay,
I
okay.
don't have the premium plan, but I hope they don't mess me up, man. Oh, like I searched about what happened with our video.
Yeah.
Um, and basically that particular day, something was happening with StreamYard, and therefore,
Oh,
uh, the very tiny message that they had in StreamYard was, "Things will not be recorded on Facebook. It'll be streamed.
oh,
People can see it live, but it's not
yeah,
going to be recorded."
yeah. Wow.
I was like, "We had such a good time, and you
I
got."
know, I know. It got played.
I got for sure because I tried so many things. How to like return it? How to? Yes, it just went away. But how are you, man? How's the
I'm
weather?
doing
Where you at?
good, man. It's getting hot, but I'm doing good, man. Yeah, it's
It
starting to
it
get
is.
warm.
I wonder if it gets hotter in your end. So right now I'm in New York. I'm visiting family, and
Okay, how's
it's
the
it's
weather?
touching the 90s very easily.
Okay. I think I would take 110, 115 in Vegas over 90 in New York any day.
Oh, because it's like just dry heat, right? It's not like
Yeah,
humid.
yeah. It's like hot, like we're like really, really hot, but like the humidity, I'm not a big fan. Definitely not. I'll take this
I
any
guess
day.
that covers one of the questions I had, which eliminates which eliminates a couple of humid states or whatnot. But so glad to have you again, man.
Yes,
I love
sir.
seeing the stuff that you post. The journey. Because one
Yes.
thing that I really like about what you post is, you don't just post the success, but you're posting the journey. You're posting the failures. You're posting the funny things, the things that piss you off. So
Yeah.
it's like it's a full reality. So I appreciate that you give
Thank
that
you,
to your
brother.
audience.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, speaking of that, just you know, um, I guess no. Let's do our little icebreaker first before we go to the real
Yes.
questions.
Awesome.
I got a couple of ones, not similar, not exactly the same as before, but
Okay,
let's
I
see.
like it.
Let's see. Talking to pets or talking to babies?
I'm going talking to pets.
I don't want to deal with babies. Um, phone in bathroom or no phone in bathroom?
Oh, phone in bathroom for sure.
You're like no regrets, no
Bro,
apologies.
I sometimes bring my phone in the shower. I ain't even gonna lie. Like I'll be answering emails in between washing my face and shit.
Holy crap! No way. Like your
Yeah,
phone. What phone do you have that doesn't like?
just
I
the
know they
iPhone
say
11. Yeah,
iPhone 11. Really, it takes that?
yeah. I mean, I
Shit.
don't put it under the water. I put it like on the shelf on the side, and I'll grab it in between.
You're like,
Yeah, in between soap and couple emails.
bro, if it's true that Apple and whoever watches stuff through our camera, they can be like, "What the f is he doing right
They ain't
now?"
watching me no more. They're like, nope, I'm turning this channel off.
Yeah, enough. Okay, sort by price or sort by rating? This is in your
Rating,
hometown. Rating.
rating for
Okay,
sure.
rating.
Yes,
All right. Um, sauce on the side or sauce on top?
sauce on top, extra sauce
Oh,
on top.
extra sauce. Speeding ticket or parking ticket?
I'll take a parking ticket.
Like I
Actually,
want none of them.
it's funny to say, when I was in New York back in January, I actually thought I parked legally. I paid for the parking, but apparently it was like they have all these like signs where it's like you can't park here on Wednesday if you're in a red car between 3 and 4, like all these things. And I missed one of the 800 signs, and I come back to $120 ticket. And I
Oh
actually
my
just I
God.
got it in January, and I actually just paid it like a few days ago. I forgot about it. Thankfully,
Brother
there was
man,
no added fees or nothing.
New York is notorious, man, with that. Like
Dude,
you're
I know.
100% right. The signs are everywhere, and there's
And it's so
cameras everywhere.
expensive.
It's so
It's so
stupid.
$120 for a parking ticket, and I paid like $12 to park.
Oh God. No, they don't. I like. I really think there's no way with all these cameras and signs or whatever that they're putting all of that for the sake of the people. There's no way,
Oh
man.
no,
They're running a business,
no,
bro.
no, exactly. To protect them, not to protect you.
All right. Instagram famous or TikTok famous?
Instagram.
All right. Oh man, abolishing TikTok. All right. Um, Vacation or staycation? I think I know the answer to this one, but I'll let you
Um,
answer.
That's a good question. Honestly, it's not. I can't pick either one. I'm not a big vacation person. Honestly, like
But you're all
I'm a
over
big
the road, bro.
yeah. But I'm doing like I'm working on my business and doing things
Yeah,
that I enjoy. Like I believe in like building the life that you love that you never like.
I
'Cause so
agree.
many people like I feel when they go on vacation to escape, and it's
Right.
like most people plan their
Ah,
vacations better than they plan their lives because it's easier
I
to
see.
escape than change. So I
Yeah,
built the life that I love, so I never feel the need to go on vacation.
that's a really good. That's a really good twist to it. I like it. Passenger or driver?
Driver.
Driver. All right. Nobody can stop your speed. Like just
That's right.
sit over there.
They can just get me while
I
I'm
mean,
parked.
on your, we'll talk more about what you do and why you travel so much. But do you always go by yourself when you're driving, or are you always like snatching somebody with you on your journey?
Sometimes I go solo. Sometimes I bring my girlfriend with me, and I meet up with a ton of friends along the way.
Nice.
Building my business and my journey and sharing it online. And like I've built, a network of, hundreds of, probably thousands of people now. So I always have friends and stuff that I can meet up with along the way in almost every town,
That's
every
awesome.
city.
I mean, let's get into that. Let's
Yes.
get into that. Tell everybody a little bit about, what you do, who you are, and I got a bunch of questions, but we'll see if we get to all of them. I literally have 18 questions, but we'll see.
Wow. Awesome. Awesome. I love it, man. Sweet. Yeah, definitely, brother. And it's funny thing. I actually had a friend. He just started his own podcast called I don't know, reckless responsible or something like that. And he was asking for feedback and questions when he was building his podcast. And I was his first episode, and he was like, you've been interviewed on so many different things. Like, what was your favorite? And I actually brought up yours. How you just I like just the questions you come up with right away because like I'm already laughing and I'm in an extra good mood because like just
I appreciate
the
that.
silly
Yeah,
questions and they're funny and like so it's like the the icebreakers. So it's like boom, you get into the questions, everything's open and fun, and it's like there's no pressure. And so I actually told him I was like I really liked what you do when you do this, like that you were one
I
of my
appreciate it.
favorites out of all that I've done before. Um,
Oh, yo,
yep.
he's being recorded. He's been
Yes.
recorded,
That's
quoted. You can't take that away.
So yeah, man. Right now my name is Jamison. I'm a full-time Amazon seller. I've been selling on Amazon full-time now for about I don't know, not 9 years. Feels like 100, good 100 years.
Bro, watching your journey feels like you've been on it a lot more.
Yes, it feels
But
like
you
it's
did
been
you
a
did
lot
you
longer.
did other things similar to that before Amazon, I would suspect. But
Yeah,
continue.
little bits like part-time on eBay, and then
Yeah.
before that I just had just a regular I worked as a waiter at Buffalo Wild Wings for like 4 or 5 years. That was my last real job that I had. I got fired from Buffalo Wild Wings, and in between working at Buffalo Wild Wings and before that I ended up getting addicted to pain pills, and basically over like a 4 year period, I ended up losing everything. Fired from my job, spent all my money, evicted from my apartment, court ordered to leave, moved back in with my mom, started stealing from her, more and more drugs. And it got to the point where all my drug problem became more expensive than the amount of money that I was bringing in every month.
Wow.
So then you start doing, shady things, dishonest things, illegal things. And then the drugs just kind of took over, and I kind of just spiraled out of control, lost everything, and got clean and sober after four tries in rehab. I got sober. And then pretty much for like 3 years after that, I pretty much lived in my basement and played World of Warcraft. Just played computer games and ate junk food, and just would literally morning to night from sun up to
Wow.
sundown World of Warcraft every day.
Do you feel like that was the replacement of like getting off?
Yeah. Yep. I got rid of one drug in sense for another one, in a sense, another
A tricky
addiction.
one, right?
Yes, yes. And so after a few years of that, dude, it just like I just got sick of feeling like a loser, and you get more depressed. So then you play more games, you escape more, you eat more crappy food, more trash, and just filling my body with garbage. All the processed fast food, all the stuff, stuff that's not good for your mental health. And then you
Wow.
just go in a spiral of just being
Mm-hmm.
unhappy. And it's like Tony Robbins says, it's like you get no man's land, where it's like you're not really happy, but you're not unhappy enough to do anything about it.
Right. It
Um,
doesn't hurt enough.
exactly. You just live in that numbness of life. And eventually I'm just like, I don't want to live this way anymore. I was like, all right, I better go out and find a job. And I was applying at places, just middle of the mall,
Mm.
Lids, all the clothing stores, Vans, Journeys, all the clothing stores at the mall. Get interviews, tons of interviews. Nobody would hire me. Um, I even started like, once I wasn't getting those jobs, I would kind of go down, and I started applying at like Target to get, to stock shelves, Walmart to push carts. Um, and this was probably over like a year and a half period, and is like that was just sent me in another depression. Is like I'm not good enough to push a cart at Walmart for
Wow.
$7, bro. Like an hour, like they
Wow.
hire anybody off the street, you know. And it just like, and then then I ended up moving to Nashville. Applied for jobs out there, same thing. And during this time, I started doing eBay, just like selling stuff in my house. And, I started going to like garage sales and, finding
I,
stuff at thrift stores.
I guess what inspired that? Hey, let me try eBay. While
So,
you're like working.
yeah, I've always been on eBay on and off for probably about
Okay.
15 years now. So I always knew how eBay worked, and
Mm.
prior to getting into drugs and stuff like that, I always sold on eBay on and off. If I ever seen a good deal, or I would hunt for good deals, and then I'd be like, oh, that I know I can make some money on that. Let me go flip that on eBay and make a few bucks or whatever.
Nice.
And so I always knew how to do eBay. So I was like, that was the only thing I was fairly good at, and I had a good knowledge base of what sells on eBay and what people want. So I started like going on Craigslist. People would sell their video game collections, and they'd have like, I've got, a Xbox and a PlayStation and 50 games. I want $200. So I would go on eBay and I would look up each game individually, see what I could get after fees, after shipping, look up the
Oh my
systems.
God.
Okay, looks like I can net about $350 after shipping, after fees, after everything. They want 200. All right, let me see if I can talk them down to maybe 125, 150, and then go flip this over the next 2 months. So I started doing that, eBay, and still trying to find a job. And after the point of, I started building up my eBay a little bit, where I was probably selling, about $2,000 to $3,000 a month on eBay, and enough to
Wow.
make enough,
Yeah. Not to like.
if you make a little bit of profit every month, enough to,
Yeah.
pay for 99-cent spaghetti and stuff like that, and still trying to find a job. And it just wasn't going good. And I was just like, dude, like, I'm just going to push hard on this. Like, if I put a little more effort into this, I feel I could make a full-time income. I can't find a
Oh,
job. Nobody's going to
100%.
hire me. Clearly I'm unemployable. And eventually I found Amazon. I tried that, and I didn't like it at first. And it was very tough because at the time of doing, Amazon FBA, there's no courses, there's no Facebook groups, there's
Right.
no
Just
YouTube
figure it
videos.
out type of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's no information about it because it was so brand new to the world that no one talked about it. And so I just, started messing with that. I quit a little bit early on because I was just like, oh, this is kind of dumb. I don't understand it. I'm not making any money. And I just, thankfully, I stuck at it, just kept building. And, it was a super, super, tough road, even doing Amazon, because I had personal stuff in my personal life that would keep knocking me down, like
Right.
I'd be
That could
like,
like kind of like the finger pointing type of.
yeah, it was just like,
Yeah.
it's just like everything, just every time you get up a little bit in life, like I would start building up my Amazon, get my inventory up, getting the money up a little bit. And then something like, a relative, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be evicted from my apartment tomorrow. I need $1,600. otherwise I'm going to be on the
Oh,
street.
wow.
It's like, crap, this is
Mm,
literally all the money I have to my name. I've been building like a year to build this up. Okay, here you go. I don't want you to get evicted, lose all my money, and then I had to start over and then keep building. And then another month, same relative. Oh, I need to get blah 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 blah. I need money. I'm going to get evicted again. And I'm just like, I can't do this. Like I paid for
yeah.
your rent like three
It's
times.
draining. Hmm.
Yeah, and so eventually I had to tell this close relative I can't do it. They ended up getting evicted from their apartments, and they blamed me for it. And I just stuck it. I got to the point where I had to cut everybody out of my life. I had to cut all the negative influences, everybody,
Wow.
parents, relatives, close people that most people wouldn't cut out. And I just grinded on Amazon, put my head down for a few years and just buckled, just kept at it, kept at it. And fast forward to the present time, my business is on scale to do 1.5 million in sales for 2023.
Woo!
Thank you,
Let's
sir. That's all for
go.
nothing. Just grinding, put in the work.
Definitely blood, sweat, and tears.
Yes, definitely. So yeah, it's been a wild journey, and you definitely learn a lot about yourself and learn a
Mm,
lot about people and just becoming the person that you want to become to attract the good people into your life.
yeah, I
For
guess
many.
it took you having to like do the cut to
Yes,
start
and the
to
common
really start
denominator
over.
and all that was me. Like I was a
Right.
toxic person too. Not everybody around me. It was all of us. Me, them. Like attracts like. If you're a shitty person, you got toxic traits. Well, guess what? Those are the type of people you're going to attract into your life. You want to get those people out of your life. You need to heal and become better, become happier, and then you'll attract better into your life.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Wow. Oh, somebody wrote in the comments. She said, "So proud of you for overcoming your struggles, Jamison. I work with patients struggling with substance use on
Hmm.
a daily basis. Keep on being an inspiration." Oh, that's awesome.
Awesome. Appreciate you. Thank you. Yeah, I love like sharing my journey so much. Like so honestly, like out of everything in my life, all the good thing, like I connect so much. I don't know. I have such an extra huge love for
Mm,
like addicts, drug addicts,
yeah.
and recovering addicts, and like homeless people that have nothing and just are in a crappy place in life. Like I connect with those. Like those are the people that I love so much because it's like
Mm,
it's hard to get out of those situations, and thankfully I was able to do that. So like I try, everywhere I go on Facebook, Instagram is like just kind of share my journey because like you never know like
absolutely.
when your story could be the key to somebody else's prison. That
Oh,
you plant a seed
100%.
in them that could unlock for them to change their life for the better, to get clean, to get sober, to improve their lives. And, so I really try to just put that out there and just like lay out, whatever I can and help people where I'm able to.
And what's even more amazing sometimes is we'll listen to someone's story and we'll probably direct it to the person who needs it, which is
Mm-hmm.
like awesome, right? They don't.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
wouldn't. Sometimes it's not necessarily the person who needs it who's watching, but it could be
Mm-hmm.
like people taking your message and delivering it to the people that need it.
Yes. Yes.
The possibilities, which is awesome. Um, I guess if you are to, I mean, you are in this. You've done a lot of work that is mindset. A lot of work that took you on a roller coaster, I would say, but you never gave up. Why didn't you ever give up?
Oh, that's a man. Great question, dude. Dude, your questions are fire, man, for real. Um, Honestly, man, felt like there's like I had no options. Like it was like I feel like I had burned all the options I had. It's
Mm,
like you go through life, and it's like I by any means not like pity party or anything like that. Like I know
yeah,
tons of people that had it way worse than me growing up. Like it just grew up. We were on welfare, just poor. Father was never around. Grew up in an urban area, like a lot of crime and gangs and stuff, and like it's just like when you live in that lifestyle, like it's so hard to get out because you don't know anything else. Like
right.
all the
Yeah,
people that live there, like they have the similar mindset, and it's like you go through it's like a poverty mindset. Like it's just your mindset is just like that. And I was like that for years. Like, I'm still like, I'm growing and I'm like recognizing all the areas where I'm flawed and I'm trying to heal and grow. And it's so
yeah.
hard to get out of that, like that mindset of where you're living in your way you grow up. It's like that becomes so normalized. You don't know anything different. Like,
You don't know
you know,
anything else. Yeah.
you
Wow.
go your
Yeah.
whole life and like I was always just a miserable, depressed person. I was on, pills for mental illness my whole life for the most part. I mean, now I'm not. Like, I juice, I eat healthy, like I, see all the crap that's in the food. I like, minimize that or eliminate it. And like, now I'm, healthy mentally inside and out. And I feel really good about, that, like, that so many of our problems that we have, we can heal them naturally, definitely, with just a decent diet, but like, it's like, I pretty much, like, up until I would say probably like, 2018, where I had like my first like real like realization. Like, I went to my first Tony Robbins event in San Jose, and I went to the event, and everybody there was so happy, high-fiving, hugging,
Like,
tears of
what the
joy.
hell is wrong with these
Like,
people?
I kid you not. I'm like, there's no freaking way people are this happy. Like, this is so fake.
That's what
Nobody's
I
life
said
is this
too.
happy. Dude, there's no way these people are happy like this. This is not real life. And I went to the event, and it was like a decent event. It was cool, but I was just like, this isn't real. Like, this is
This is
all just
not,
like
yeah.
fluff and like, and it was real. Like, it took me a few Tony Robbins events and some more healing and some more self-development. And now we're at 2023 now. And I look back, and then
Yeah.
it's like, I am one of those people now. Like, it took a lot of learning and growth. And like, you have to deal with the, like, whether you have childhood traumas or bad things that
Right.
happened in your past, you have to address those things. You need to lean into pain so you can heal and grow from those things. You need to heal. And like, of course you're going to have scars and like, all that stuff that you've been through. Like, you can grow from that and become happy, deal with that stuff head on. And, going to Tony Robbins events really helped me,
Oh, 100%.
break that poverty mindset that I had my whole life.
It's the repetition with that. I mean, I remember going the first time I went to Dallas. That was my first event. And during the Dickens process, where everybody's just like freaking crying their head off,
Yes.
and they get a realization, and I'm like, by the end of it, I'm like, this is insane. But why didn't I get a realization like all these people who are on the floor crying? But then I realized, whether it's culture or the traumas like that you mentioned, they're there. You're like an onion peeling, and you eventually get that breakthrough or realization once you peel far enough to say, wait a minute, this is
Mm-hmm.
like a pattern that I'm pushing away. Like,
Yes.
I'm open, basically, which is pretty awesome. And it
Yes,
takes a lot. It
definitely.
takes a lot. But
It
you
really
went.
does.
You said you went to a few Tony Robbins events.
Yeah, that was my first one. It
Uh
was
huh.
decent. I didn't really care for it, and I ended up going again. That was, I think, in like the beginning of 2018, and then he had another one in New Jersey at the end of 2018 that I went to.
That's the one I
Um,
went to as well. But I think I was volunteering at that one.
okay, you're crewing there or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I went to that one, went in with an open mind, and I actually got prepared for that one mentally. Lost a little bit of weight, ate a little bit more better, and like kind of like knew that I wanted to be there for the long days, because the first event I was like falling asleep in my chair. I was bored. I was on my phone. I was like, I would spend hours just walking around the stadium because I was just so bored and tired. And, you know,
Oh,
but I went to it and crushed it. And, it was a great event. And
yeah.
I, the
It's like,
following
how do
year,
they stay happy for 4 days like
exactly.
that?
And,
With
and
no
I found
alcohol or pills or
exactly, yes, exactly. It was great. And then I got to crew 2019 November in Miami.
you crewed?
Yeah, and it was amazing. It was fun to give
Really?
back and talk to the new people. Like, just like I'd literally, like, I crewed, but I spent most of my time just walking around the halls and like just talking to people. Like, just the people that are new to the event will, just because you have
Yeah,
a crew shirt on, they would just come up to you and be like, "Oh, is this your first event? We know, what do you experience?" Like, and it's like I had like just so many conversations with people. Like, they would just come up to you and just like unload. Like, it was their
yeah,
first event. They were like new, and they just unloaded just like without even knowing you. Like, I had this one lady come up to me, man, dude. It was like she, it was her first event, and to this day, like I don't even. The funniest thing, I don't even know this lady's name. I don't remember her name. I just remember her and her story. She came up to me. I'm like, I'm crewing, and I was like, told her how helpful the events have been for me, and she said, "Great, I hope this is good for me too." She was like, I really want to walk on the fire or whatever, because my daughter she died in a car crash, and her car burned up. And I was just like, I
oh,
cried my eyes out when she told me that. And to this day, like, it still brings me to tears thinking about
oh,
that. And like, she came up to me and told me that, and like we hugged, and I cried, she cried, and like it was like she was there to heal and grow. And it was like, people will tell you stories like that. And it's just like, the community's been great, man. This events have been
Yeah,
super.
no, the stories that people share on, but it's like, we get to honor those people. It's so amazing
Mhm.
for them to, despite how vulnerable they are, and just show up because they want to heal rather than give up.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just
yeah,
incredible. Wow. Thanks for sharing that, man. That's
sure.
pretty awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
But we were talking about earlier your Amazon journey, and one thing that I always see you do is travel. You're always going somewhere. What is happening there? What inspires that? We'll talk more about that, but it looks like a pretty cool journey.
Yeah. Man, I love to travel. I love to get in my car. I love to drive around the
Yeah,
country. I love just meeting people. I love to eat. I love food, man. That's my favorite hobby is eating for sure. And I just like being able to travel and try foods in different cities, different towns, different states. And I like recording my journey along the way of where I'm at, what I'm doing. And it's cool that, anywhere there's, a Target, a Walmart, a Barnes and Noble, or GameStop, I can, go find profitable products and sell them on Amazon and make money, which fund my road trips around the country.
right. Wait,
So
so
it's,
are you travel? That's a question I had in my mind. Are you traveling to go to those shops, or are you traveling just to have fun and to kind of like,
I mean,
or
traveling,
both?
both, because they go hand in hand. I mean, the finding the profitable
Yeah.
product to sell online, that funds me being able to travel. So, I love to do it. I love to shop and I love to find products to sell on Amazon, and everything goes hand in hand, and I love it.
That works out. Um, and I guess with all that travel, I know you said you're keeping healthy. How are you balancing all that out to stay healthy, to, possibly physical fitness or,
Yeah, man. Yeah, I this year I started to dive into fasting. I do my own version of intermittent fasting. I started that January 3rd,
nice.
and I'm down almost 30 pounds now. I feel
Holy,
good, and I literally like I eat like when I'm on the road, it's easier because like when you're driving 8, 9 hours a day, or you're constantly going into stores, like you're busy, your mind is focused on the business. Like I don't even think about food. Like I'll have my water, and then as long as I can, like I can find a juice shop. I'll juice 1 or 2 times a day. I'll drink a bunch of water. I'll have a coffee, and like I'll go the whole day. Like I'll go, 14 to 22 hours, without a meal, and then I'll eat one meal. Sometimes when I'm home, I'll probably eat 2 meals a day, but
yeah,
sometimes just like one meal a day, 1 or 2 meals a day. And like kind of like when I first started doing this, like my first day fasting, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go as long as I can without food. I've never really done this. So tonight, when I eat my first meal, I'm gonna eat whatever I want. I'm gonna eat a meal fit for a king. So if I want to eat pizza, hamburger, French fries, chicken wings, whatever, like just I'm gonna eat that. And so for the first like couple of weeks, I was doing that where it's like I'm eating once a day, but I'm gonna eat whatever I want. So that kind of like built up the momentum of me going through the whole day without food and then just eating one meal that I love, and I did that for like probably honestly no, it was probably longer than a couple. It was probably about a month, and like I lost like 10 or 12 pounds in the first month of doing that, like just doing one meal a day, but eating not the healthiest food.
you're like you're like I could eat whatever I want.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that I even felt better mentally after that first month. Like I felt more like
Yeah, your body is getting
when
detoxed.
you go like 20 hours, 18 hours without food, like I don't know, it's so weird. You have this weird feeling about your body, like this. You almost get like this, like extra. I don't know if it's clarity or energy or just like you feel. I don't know. I can't even explain it, but like I just feel better about myself when
Oh,
I have food for
100%.
like 18 hours, and then I'll eat whatever I want. I'll go the next morning. I'll get up and I'll do it all over again. I'll drink 4, 5, 6, 7 bottles of water. I'll have a couple shots of espresso in the morning. If I can get to a juice bar, I'll do that. Ginger shots and stuff like that. I'm listening to audiobooks every day. I'm reading books. I get up when I'm at home, it's a little bit easier. I'll get up in the
Yeah,
morning. I may write my journal. I may read my Bible. I start my day with a bottle of water.
right.
I have a good water filter at home, so like it flushes out all the BS. I'll juice in the morning, and do coffee, and it's like that's all I ate. Like my last meal was at like 10 o'clock last night. I had chicken wings and a cinnamon roll. It's
That is a weird mix, bro.
yeah. So it's been like no food 15 hours, and I don't plan on eating till dinner tonight. And just continue to
Wow.
drink water, and just I feel amazing. I'm losing weight. I feel better. I feel happier. Just kind of just do
No,
things every day.
it's true with fasting because you're leaving your body for 15 hours to it's taking that energy that would normally use for breaking down your meals or whatever to kind of detox you and stuff. So
Yeah.
I did something like that. When did I start? Like 2 months ago. I did it for like 2 weeks only though. And it was just you're just eating fruits
Mm-hmm.
and I'm drinking this particular bag of herb that I bought
Mm-hmm.
um, from this guy who does it in Canada. Like he ships it from Canada. And basically it was just drinking the herbs and doing the fruits and that's it. And the fasting. I was fasting because
Wow.
we had the Ramadan holiday for
Yeah.
Muslims. So we
Yeah.
have to fast from sunrise to sunset. So I was doing that. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna take advantage of that. We're doing that for a month. And I lost 10 pounds.
Awesome. Good for
But
you.
my God, it was a little challenging. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it can. Some days definitely it has its days.
But when I jumped on the scale, I'm like, all right, it was worth it. And you're right, you do get that clarity and stuff. And you went through your morning routine real quick, and I really wanted to
Yeah,
ask
yeah,
you about that a little bit. If you can tell us a little bit more about your morning routine,
yeah,
a
definitely.
little bit deeper in what you do.
Yeah, I'm super big into juicing. Like I love to juice. Like I think juicing could cure so many issues that we have.
100%.
Like, um, like, like probably this is probably I don't know, maybe I don't know, 15 years ago, give or take a couple years. Like I was on, uh, a bunch of different pills for mental illness, and like, I had manic depression, bipolar. Like I was on all these medications, and the medications made me feel worse. I was tired all the time. I was more depressed. I couldn't get out of bed some days. Like it was just like
Wow.
I felt like crap. I felt worse. And I came across this documentary like 15 years ago called "Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead." It's a documentary about juicing, and this guy, his name is Joe Cross. He makes a documentary about juicing. And dude's way overweight. He's got all these health issues. He's taking like 20 different pills a day for all his
Oh my
issues.
God.
And I mean, this guy, just looking at his face, you could just tell he's not a healthy person. And he takes us on like a 60-day journey of him juicing for 60 days, no food. And the dude lost like 80 pounds. He got off all his
Oh, that's
medications.
tough.
And by the
Yeah, that's
end of
good.
the journey, like the dude's face, he's glowing and he's just like a whole new person. And I'm just like, that inspired me to start juicing, like 15 years
Wow.
ago now. I think the documentary came out in like 2004 or 5 or 6 or somewhere around there. It was a while back. And like to this day, I still juice and I still like it. Like that thing
Oh,
inspired me to start juicing. And I'm on
yeah,
zero pills. Like I don't go through like depression. Like I mean, I have my days where it's like you have different moods
yeah,
and
it's
stuff
just
throughout the
what
year.
normal humans go through.
But like I don't go through that depression where I'm in bed for a week or days and I
Yeah,
can't face the world. And it's like, like it's like I feel amazing about myself on the inside because like I'm feeding myself. I juice beets and carrots and kale, and I do ginger. I have a ginger. I'll juice like in a mason jar, a big mason jar. I'll juice a ton of ginger, a ton of turmeric, lemon, and apple, and I'll do like 3, 4 of those shots throughout the day in my mason jar, and I'll just pour a shot here or there throughout the day, and I'm doing shots all day long. I'm drinking my water, my good like this. I try not to drink bottled water, but like when I'm out on the go, I will because
oh,
it's
and
better
your
than
feel, yeah,
soda.
yeah,
Yeah, I try to do my filter at home. I have a Berkey water filter, which gets rid of all the crap and the fluoride and
nice.
all that stuff. And um, I feel better. Like I mean, like I can go and eat fast food tonight and like not affect my mood. And like before, when I wasn't doing all these healthy things, like too much sugar or too much fast food would affect how I felt, how my depression was, or
Oh,
like it would make it
100%.
worse. And like I think refined sugar from like candy and sweets and stuff like that, like really takes a toll on our mental health. Like it
It's
really
a
enhances
hundred
like
percent.
problems.
It
And
is so it's so scary to like start learning about those ingredients that are in the things that we
it
eat, like the
is
candies and all that. And it's like, holy, like who makes decisions to let those ingredients
exactly.
go?
I know, dude. It's so crazy. Like when I first started getting into juicing like 15 years ago, and I won't go too far off track. Like
Yeah.
people called me a conspiracy theorist for saying like the sugars and the stuff in the food is bad for us, that's making us sick and causing a lot of problems. Like people talk to me like I was like a lunatic, and I'm like, no. And now, fast forward 15 years,
Yeah.
more people are more like, okay, our food
Oh
is not
no,
a lot of, and it's
they're
like,
they're cat they're catching up to it, bro.
yeah,
My
it's
my,
like, dude, yeah,
it's
it's
wild.
it is.
My mom, she has rheumatoid arthritis, which is like arthritis, but I feel like 10 times worse because you're always in pain.
Mhm.
And they
Ah,
gave her like those pills, but it's like the doctor was honest. I'm gonna be honest with you. There's no cure for this, and it's just gonna keep it asleep. And she just never connected with that medication. She was juicing. So now 10 years, like if she doesn't take those pills, her body turns into a vegetable. But 10 years later of just juicing and she doesn't take those pills. That's what keeps her
wow.
healthy. And it's
Yes.
it's it, it works, bro.
It
People
really
just need to hop
does.
on.
It really does. Yeah, that documentary I mentioned, Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead, I
Yeah.
highly recommend watching that. And
Fat,
it has a
sick,
few
and
different,
nearly dead, everybody. Check it
yes.
out. I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah,
I haven't
it's
seen it.
amazing. You can actually watch it on YouTube for free.
There
And
you
there's
go.
a part two to it too, also. But yeah, dude, it's like it's got another lady on there that suffered from like chronic migraines her whole life, and then she did a juice fast within like 4 days. Migraines cured, done, no more migraines. Like,
Wow.
and it's like so many of our like little issues we have with us can be healed with, the right
And I
nutrients.
and to like just to make everybody realize it's just those small changes that you can make in
Yes.
your life that can like just
Mm-hmm.
change everything around.
That's
And it's
right.
not, it's not gonna be fast, right? It's not gonna be
Yeah.
fast, but it's just gonna take you taking some action.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. It starts with an apple a day. Like it's
Yeah.
really that easy.
I guess what inspires you to keep going?
Honestly, man, like I just want to strive to become better every day. I think that's super important. Like, I mean, for me, I don't want to say all men, but just for me, like, I always want to get better. Like, I don't want to get older and weaker and short, fatter and unhealthier. I want to get better as I grow, and, and it's, like, this is one of the most cliche quotes ever. It's like, motivation will get you started, discipline will keep you going. Like, I
Oh my
have
God.
zero motivation
Yeah.
to do this stuff. Like I have no motivation. Like if I could carve out the perfect life, I would sit on the couch and watch Netflix and watch TV shows and eat junk food morning to night. If I could do that and not, like not be miserable, I would do that for the rest of my life. That would be the perfect life for me. But I don't do that because I know that's not going to bring me happiness. It's
Yeah.
going to make me depressed,
It'll give you like
overweight.
short-term happiness.
Exactly. And so I do all these things because I'm disciplined in becoming a better person. I have no, like, some days I'm motivated, some days I'm not. A lot of days I have no motivation, but I get up and do it every day because I
Yeah.
know if I want to be happy, if I slack too much in a certain area of my life, it's gonna go off into other areas. If I eat like crap for a week, well, that's going to affect my mood.
Ooh.
And then if it affects my mood, it's going to affect my relationships because then I'm probably going to be, more negative or more complaining or more, like, and then my relationships are going to struggle.
Right.
And then, okay, well then, something else is going to struggle. And that's a domino effect. So like I do little things in my area, positive things every day. So that way I'm continuing to grow. Even if it's slow, like I'm at my own
Yeah.
pace. I'm not in a race with anybody else except myself. You know,
It,
all
I
I want
feel
to
like
be is better than me
I feel
yesterday.
like yeah, I feel like changing your life for the better or for the worse works the exact same thing.
It
Because
really
that's
does.
right. But you were telling us about your story earlier about how one thing led to another. It's exactly that. Like one decision started, and then it just went into different areas, and then it went to pills and evictions and you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah,
it's it's crazy.
100%, 100%.
Wow, that's insane. Um, the other question I had for you, what was the funniest story you ran into when you're going on the road? If there's a story that's in your mind.
Sorry, say that one more time. You kind of cut
Uh,
my brain cut
no
for a second.
worries. I said, what was the funniest thing or story you encountered while going on the road?
Oof.
Or weirdest? Any?
let's see here. Give me a sec here. I would say one of my crazier stories. I was on a sourcing trip. I had just left Las Vegas. I went to a convention in Las Vegas. I think this was back in 2017 in like March or something like that. And I was driving to, I believe, California. And I think I was in between like Nevada and Arizona, but on my way to California. And I went to an area with no signal, and it was, probably 11 or midnight. It was dark out and no signal. And I'm following my GPS, and it brings me down a dirt road. And like,
Oof.
it's like literally just straight up dirt. And it's like there's grass and complete darkness on one side, and there's some grass and a railroad tracks on the other side. No houses, no paved roads, no humans, no cars, no animals, no nothing. And I drive for like 20 minutes, and I'm like, crap, like I don't know what to do here. I'm just going to keep on going. And I kept on going. And I thought it would lead me to a real road. And it ended up leading me to a sand pit, basically a big open area, just all sand and gravel and dirt, and still no signal. So I'm like, shit, all right, let me turn around in this gravel, dirt, sand thing, and turn around and go back the way I came. Well, when I did my little roundabout to turn around and go back, I ended up getting stuck in all the sand and the dirt. And it's the middle of the dark. There's nobody around. I have zero signal. Like it says no service on my cell phone. And I'm stuck. And it's so dark out there. I'm in the middle, like some like.
Bro, you're in the middle of nowhere. Shit.
I can't see anything. I have my flashlight on my phone, and then you can see a couple feet in front of you. I have no idea what type of creatures are out there. And I'm like, crap, all right, well, I got to think fast. What am I going to do? Like, I try to get in and out, and I don't want to, like, keep going because it's just all it is just getting deeper and deeper every time I try. So I'm like, all right, crap, well, what am I going to do? I open the car. I'm starting to dig around and see if I can find anything that could get me out. And I'm like, all right, what can I do? What can I do? I'm looking around. I see a lot of, like, pebbles and rocks, like, the size of quarters all around. I'm like, all right, I had just traveled across country from New York to here. So I had like a big container of like salt for like snow and stuff. So I just dumped that thing out, and I literally started running around in the dark, filling up this container full of rocks, all these little pebbles that, I'm just filling this thing up. And at the same time, it's still dark out, and I had this air horn in my car that I just loved to mess with people. And like, I didn't know what type of animals were out there. So like every 30 seconds or in case there's any like creatures out there walking to scare them off. So it's like I'm grabbing gravel and dirt and rocks and stuff, and and this thing is loud. You could probably hear it from miles away.
Bro, you were inviting them, man.
Yes, dude, it was freaky. Got the flashlight of my phone in one hand. It's like it was nuts. And I ended up filling up the thing up. And then I'm like, oh, I remember seeing some YouTube video many years prior where they took their floor mats and stuck them under the tires. So I'm like, all right, let me stick the floor mats.
That's a good idea.
And then I started pouring all the rocks around the tires. And then I just put it in drive, and I gunned it, and it was enough to get me out of there. I went, grabbed my floor mats, threw them back inside, and then I drove back and got back to normal road.
That's wild.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was nuts. I had no skill to get out of that. That was just all quick thinking, and remember to put the floor mats down by the tires, and thankfully it was enough to give me a little push and get out of there.
Damn, I guess you just need that pressure for your brain to say, I think we can find a way.
Yeah. So yeah, it was crazy. I've had a lot of little silly things like that happen. I mean, I've encountered bed bugs, like in hotels, like 4 or 5 times,
Oh
throughout
my God,
years.
that's
I've
annoying.
stayed at many hundreds of hotels around the country, and like you go to sleep and you wake up in the middle of the night with like itching and burning all over your body, and you have all these red pelts all over you, like getting attacked by bed bugs or biting you and sucking your blood. And I've had that happen like 5 times over the years.
It's healthy blood too, man.
Yeah,
if they have
for
a
real.
disease, they'll be cured.
Yeah, yep. I've like been in my hotel room, and like people, like sometimes they'll be like, once in a while there'd be like a fight in the hallway, people arguing. One time I was like, I don't remember what state I was in, probably Ohio or something. somewhere in that area, and I was working on a shipment. I was boxing up toys and taping boxes and prepping items to ship into Amazon. And I
Yeah.
heard two gentlemen, I don't want to say they're gentlemen, two men. They weren't gentlemen. They didn't act like it, and they were arguing outside of my door. And I like looked through the peephole, and they're like arguing, and like one guy's threatening one guy with a knife, and I'm just like, oh shit, like my gosh, like they went on for like 5 minutes out there, like just like silly little crazy things like that. And but thankfully I've been doing it for a long time, that I've only got a few crazy
Oh, that's
stories.
good. Well, I'm glad you can get stuck in that
Yeah.
sandbox. That's good. That's wild. That's a wild with darkness all over. Holy
Yeah.
crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably be praying in the car first. Get out. Well, you just mentioned about boxing stuff or Amazon stuff. I guess for people that don't know how that even works, can you tell people like with Amazon FBA and how that works and stuff
Yeah, definitely.
if they
Yeah. So
wanted to start it as a
yeah,
business?
basically, like in a nutshell, like I pretty much go out to Targets and WalMarts, and I take my phone, and I have a Amazon seller app, and I scan the barcodes in Target and Walmart, and then I see if there's a listing on Amazon. If there's a listing on Amazon, it'll pop up. It'll tell you what it's selling for, and it'll show like a rank, so you can get an idea of how many units sell a month. And it'll show the Amazon fee, so you can see like, oh, like this item is $2 at Walmart. It's selling for 15 on Amazon. After all the fees, all net $6. Okay, I can make $3-4 on this. So I go out to Target and Walmart. I find all the profitable products, and then I'll do an Amazon shipment where I label all the items, so that way Amazon knows they're mine, they belong to me.
Yeah.
And then I pretty much put them in 1 or 2 boxes, and I ship I'll ship 30 to 50 units in one box, and I'll ship them all to Amazon. And then they get listed on Amazon, and then when a customer buys it, Amazon will fulfill that order, use my scannable barcode to find my item, and then they'll box it up and they'll ship that item to the customer for me.
Dude, did they give you like a limited amount of time and how long you can leave it in their warehouse or something like that?
Not necessarily a limit, but they do charge you storage fees. They
Okay.
charge you monthly storage fees, and then they'll charge you long-term storage fees. So like if your item is, I don't know, I think it's like if your item's been sitting for like 6 months in their warehouse, they'll
Yeah.
start charging you way more than they were. And then also for like quarter
Which
four,
makes
which
sense.
is October, November, December, they charge you 4 times storage fees. So if you're
Dang.
paying 10 cents a month to hold this, then they're going to charge you 40 cents a month to hold it. And then on top of that, if you have long-term storage fees, they'll charge you even more. So basically they're incentivizing you to sell, and not hold Amazon.
Oh, well, it makes sense.
Products.
Yeah, I mean, like keep them moving.
Yes,
Otherwise,
exactly.
and I guess if you wanted your items back, then you'll have to pay for shipping back, or they just ship it.
You pay for a removal order fee, and they'll ship the item
Ah,
back to you.
gotcha. But I mean, I guess that gives people a lesson before you dive into business like this. You have to make sure you do your homework, you connect with the right people. Well, speaking of the right people, I guess how did you create your network, or is there a network that people can join to be with the right people and learn this trade?
Yeah, through the journey, I started to get active on Facebook and Instagram, and Facebook groups that are Amazon and reseller oriented, and just connect with the right people. When I first started doing this, like I was doing eBay for a few years, and then I started doing Amazon. I was probably a few months in on Amazon. And like one day I was like, I wonder if like I had never met another reseller in my life. I wasn't friends with resellers. There was no reseller community really. Like
Right.
I didn't
Yeah.
know anyone that doing this. And I was just like, one day I had this thing, was like, I wonder if anybody else does this around the country. There's gotta be other people. So it's like, I was like on Facebook, but I was just, would just go, it's just like normal, like you're friends with friends and you read their posts and, nothing
Right.
more than that. And I was like, in the search thing, I'm like, reseller Facebook, whatever, and I found some free Facebook groups, and there was like other people. Some of these groups had hundreds of people in it. I'm like, wow, there's other people that do this.
Found your people.
Yes, I thought they were my people. So I joined all the free Facebook groups, and I'm new. And so
Yeah.
I'm probably very like annoying, or like I would post in the groups because I was having issues with how to create a shipment and like the
Yeah.
process of, getting the product to Amazon and list it. And like, there was no one to teach me. And like, like it was hard to learn because there was nowhere to learn it. Like you
Right.
literally had to guess sometimes. And so I would ask in Facebook groups, and like, all I remember to this day, I don't remember names or anything, but like I just remember people that were mean and just rude about it,
Wow.
like just people were just like, it's like almost like it was like people didn't want to share the secret, like they didn't want any more resellers coming around, like, no, you go figure it
And
out yourself. And like nobody
yeah.
would help, which no one owes me anything. I don't expect everyone to do the work for me. Like it got to the point where it's like it would be simple questions, nobody helped me. It got to the point in my post, I will pay you money, teach me how to do this. Like I value your time and what you do in your business. I don't know how to do that. I'll give you money. Show me what to do. And it's like people were jerks and rude and like, and so I made like a vow to myself, a promise, like, you know what, I'm going to learn how to do this thing and I'm going to help people, I'm going to share,
That's
and,
amazing.
and that's what I did. So like I'm glad that happened to me because it made me, all right, I'm going to figure out how to do this and I'm going to help everybody that I can, I'm going to be helpful. I'm going to share advice. I'm going to, be open to accepting advice. And, I started making friends with all these people online. And eventually I found a paid Facebook group that was like $100 a year to join. And I didn't even have $100 at the time. My roommate that I had in Nashville, he actually gave me the $100 to pay for the group because I couldn't afford
Wow.
$100.
Good
And I joined
roommate.
this group. And to this day, some of my best friends in real life I met in that Facebook group. Like I'm
Wow.
still
Nice.
friends with a ton of people in that group, and probably like 10 people from that group to this day are still my best friends, like in real life. Like, and I just slowly built out a great network of people, and started getting more active on Facebook and Instagram, and then you just start gravitating towards the right people. And now I got a good network of friends, and like even I have a lot of friends in like the Tony Robbins community that don't do Amazon or sell on eBay, but they're still in my
Yeah.
network of
Don't
people.
necessarily
Like
exactly.
exactly,
Yeah.
like, and I have their back, they have my mind. I've had probably over 10 people in Tony Robbins community be like, hey, I just started Amazon, can you help me out? And I'll help them. Or like, oh, hey, my relative just started Amazon, here, can they reach out if they have any questions? Of course, I got you. Like, so it's like,
Awesome.
everybody can, like, everybody gives, everybody will have, like, it's like you can learn and grow in all different aspects.
There's enough to go. There's enough to go around.
There really is. There really
Especially
is.
when you have like an open heart like that. You know what I mean? You get blessed. Like you might not see where it's going, how, you know what I mean? Like it's just things meeting together and it comes right back, which is beautiful. Are you? I know. I think I asked you this the last time, but are you teaching this to people? Like, do you have a business that surrounds teaching people this, like a course or a class or something that you're doing?
Um,
So
I
people
actually,
can,
so last time you asked me, I've never really done anything like that. Like I've coached one-on-one, maybe
yeah,
a few people a year here and there, but I never like advertise. I'm not out like actively trying to sell it. So like if people
yeah.
will come to me and they want one-on-one help, I'm happy to, they can hire me and I can help them. But I'm actually in the process. It probably won't be up and running probably for probably, 3 months or so, but I'm actually in the process of building a Facebook group, kind of like the paid
Right.
Facebook group that I joined, because I
Yeah,
feel like in the Amazon community that lacks that feeling that I had in that group, that first paid $100 paid Facebook group I joined, that like sense of family and that small sense of community that I had in that group. I feel I've never had that in any other paid group I've ever joined
that's
since
awesome.
then. And I want to join that. I want to build that. I want to build my own community like that, where I attract like-minded people in a group where we can all learn and grow, and I can share my
Yeah, the
journey.
right people to
You know,
come together. Yeah.
Exactly. So I will, yeah, in a few months, I definitely will be up and running with a paid Facebook group that I'm super excited to,
I'll hold you accountable.
of course, please do, please do.
That's one thing I do a lot. I did that with a bunch of things. Like we did it with juicing. When it comes to
Mm,
accountability, I
yes.
went a little hardcore on that group though. I had people I had people take a picture of their juice every day and put it in the group. But we made progress because of
Awesome.
that level of
Awesome.
accountability. So accountability really works. Thanks for that. I have this question. I feel like this is more from a limiting belief that a lot of people will have, and I want to read it word for word. What do you say to people that look at successful people and say, "Oh, that can never happen to me"?
It's a good question. That's great. Well, I guess first I would probably say, like, what does success mean to you? Because success can be so many different things.
Mm,
Um, like I always, thought probably like the vast majority of people, I thought success was money, you know.
right.
And when I started doing Amazon and I like was in it for a few years and like I had this goal back around like 2018, like my goal was to sell $1 million on Amazon and make 100 grand. That was like my mission. I was so focused on doing that because I thought that was I would hit that mark and I would be happy with my life. And I never hit that mark that year. I think I did around 800,000 in sales that year. But I was the most miserable person I ever was in my entire life. Like I was making a decent money, 800,000 in sales. I was doing decent profit, but I was so miserable. Like I was the most miserable I'd ever been in my life. And so like I took a lot that year, the two Tony Robbins events and hiring my personal development coach that I still work with today and like really taking steps back so I could take the proper steps forward. And now
Mm,
to me, it's like I do not look at money does not level my measure of success. Like I don't give a fuck
wow.
how much. Sorry for swearing. I don't know if you're
No, no,
PG.
it's
Okay,
fine.
like I don't care. Like I have friends that make 10 times, 20 times, 30 times more money than I do, and I'm happier than some of those people. So to me, I'm more
Wow,
successful
that's
than
big.
they are. You know, like so. It goes along to and I've, like goes along to what does success mean to you? Now, yes, like the more money, now I'm at the level, the more money I make, the happier I get because I can use that money for
Right.
good to invest in, more juicing. Like, last year I bought my water filter. It was like $600. That was like, I'd never spent that much money on such a, minuscule thing, you know? And I'm still using it and I love it. And so it's like the more money I make, I can buy different things that can help benefit my body, help benefit my soul, make me healthier and happier, make me live longer.
Mm,
So like to me, I'm at that level where it's like if I make more money, I can become more happy because I can invest more back into myself, which in turn around just I feel more successful. I can walk into a room and say I'm one of the most successful people in this room because I'm actually happy. How many people can say that? It's like,
yeah, that's amazing. Yeah,
we've been
because
like
go ahead. Sorry, go.
I was gonna say,
Go.
I don't say, yeah, I will say that. I think we've been brainwashed as a society to think that success and happiness is wife, kids, family, 9 to 5, 2.5 kids, suburbs, decent house, all these
Vacation.
things. Exactly. Keeping up with the Joneses or whatever they call it, like that's what you need to be happy. And it's like, how many people do we know that have been had that, they've been divorced, remarried, divorced, multiple kids. Like, I don't want that. I would rather be happy,
Right.
you know? It's like, so it's like, I think like telling people like you need to find what happiness and success means to you and not what the surrounding people tell you it is, you know? Yeah. Like, you need to find what is important to you. Like, like whether it's like, I have friends that have like parents and family members that say like, all right, this is what our family does. This is what you need to do with your life. And like, I have friends that have done those things. They've gotten the successful jobs. They're not happy at them, but they just did that to make their loved ones, happy and
Right.
stuff like that. And it's like, I have friends in Amazon that did that. And eventually they started doing Amazon and they were able to get rid of that. And now they enjoy their lives and they're more happier and enjoy what they do. So, I think honestly, man, like, dude, I came from nothing. I went to college. I dropped out. I was a drug addict. I literally am unemployable in the United States of America. I couldn't get a job here to push carts. So it's like, if you think that you're struggling or you can't do that, I mean, I found my
Wow.
way. Like,
Mm,
it's like we live in a day and age where it's like, if you have a freaking smartphone and an internet connection, I don't think
yeah.
there's nothing you can't accomplish that you can't do. I think we live in the easiest time to be alive to find something that you could do to make money at. I mean, literally, I mean, there's people that sit at home in their underwear and they play Call of Duty and they make millions of dollars a year, shooting people on a computer screen, like
Wild.
dude, people stream like and make
Yeah.
money. They make YouTube video. Like, I mean, there's that one guy who like I think he like there's I mean there's a tons of people that make YouTube videos like the guy who like teaches you how to tie ties or change a tire. He's got like like there's so many avenues where we can find a way to make it or whatever you think making it is. Like that you could find success. So it's like the only thing that's holding us back is ourselves, you know? And so I don't
Wow.
know. That's like a long-winded answer, but I guess that's
No,
kind of what
that's
success
I
looks
feel
like to
like
me.
you're like the idea is to kind of come back, which is pretty
Hmm.
awesome. Is to kind of come back instead of like going forward and trying to figure stuff out, because the things that you have behind you could be the things that are messing with you. So no matter how much money you have, if you're not cleaning house,
Exactly.
you're gonna
I was at a
remain miserable.
Exactly. I was at an Amazon conference a few months back, and one of the guys that runs the event, he said something along the lines of like not building your foundation on sand, because you could build up so high it's just going to keep falling because your
Ooh,
foundation is built on sand. So you need to have a strong foundation. So sometimes you need to take those steps back so you can take the right steps forward.
100%. Wow. Yeah, no, that's pure wisdom right there. And I feel like it's the only way, and to some level, where you take care of everything, your internal, your mindset, and then it just becomes, like a moving vehicle. The
Mm,
money will come, the money will open, and as you described it, the money is not the essence to you. It's the things that it can move you to, the impact.
mm,
It's like there's a
100%.
whole mission behind it. So
Mm-hmm.
once people see it's not the paper, it's the mission that carries all of that. That's pretty incredible. I'll ask you one more question, and
Yes, sir.
we'll be good. Um, so I feel like there's a lot of people that are in this route. They're probably in
Mhm.
corporate, they probably have a retail job or whatever. I guess what's your advice to those people? How can they, I guess, continue for the moment, for the time being, to kind of hustle and bustle through their corporate or whatever, while trying to build something in the side, not necessarily Amazon. It could be Amazon or
Yeah.
anything else, but to kind of like, what advice would you have for them?
Oh man. May not be the best advice because I never did that. Like I didn't have the 9 to 5 or that other option, to get an income. Like I just didn't have nothing. So it was my, at the time I thought that was my only option was to do this harder because I didn't have anything to fall back on. I had no safety net or no backup plan or nothing. That was it. I literally there's no safety net. If this doesn't work out, well, I'll probably end up homeless or something, like so. I mean, gosh, I would probably say honestly, like, and again, since my background is eBay and Amazon, like, if you want to generate money or income so you can start a business, whether whatever it is, I would highly recommend starting like eBay, because so many of us have profitable or like items around our house that are collecting dust in the drawers or on our shelves that could be worth a few bucks on eBay. Like if you want to start a business and whatever that business is, and you need money to fund that business, I mean, selling on eBay is like the perfect thing because you don't have to do it full time. You can invest a
Right.
couple hours a week, take a few pictures of an item, you list it on eBay, it sells, you go ship it out. Easy as that,
And if it doesn't, you lose nothing. Yeah, pretty much.
Exactly. It doesn't sell, well, then guess what? It's going to sit on your shelf like it had been for years. So I know that's not the most sound advice just because I didn't do that, as far as like, trying to find a way to get out of the 9 to 5. But
Well, you did say something key though, which will totally relate. Like they have to make it a must. Like if they want to
mhm,
do it on the side, they have to make it a must, and it became a must for you. Otherwise, like you knew what your consequences were if you didn't make it a must. So I feel
yep,
like maybe for those, individuals on that route is make it a must and then look at what is the consequences that will happen if you don't make it a must.
exactly. It's very cliche, but figure out what your why is to why you're going after that.
Yeah.
Um, I'll go quick because I know you want to wrap it up. Like one of my whys is like I'll just share a story with you. But I was probably 13 years old, and we didn't have any money at the time. My mom had bought me a Reebok T-shirt at Foot Locker at our local mall, and I never wore it. Still had the tags on it, and my mom was like, "Just go back to the store and return it, and you can have the money or whatever for it." And like it was like a 15,
Or
yeah, it was like a $15 shirt, and we didn't have the receipt for it. So I had caught the bus right before rush hour, so it was 25 cents to get on the bus. To catch the bus, like 45 minutes to the mall. I went by myself. I got to the mall. expecting them to let me return the shirt, and they didn't let me return the shirt without a receipt. So, well, I didn't have any money to get home from the mall. And I was relying on them refunding me the cash so I could catch the bus to get back home, because now it's rush hour, so the bus is like $1 or something like that to get home. And I had to walk home, and it took me like, I don't know, like 3 hours to walk home.
Wow.
And like I had to walk alongside of this busy highway road thing, and I walked for hours until I got, almost halfway to a little over halfway to my house. And I saw a Super America gas station. And back then, this is, back in the early 90s. So like the way these gas stations were set up, you go to pay at the cashier, the counters, like if you dropped your change, all the change would roll under the counter. And sometimes you could find like $1 under there. So I went to this gas station with no money, and I walked right up to the register, got on my hands and knees, and I started digging under the register because I was hungry and I was thirsty. I just walked like 2 hours, and I found 27 cents, which was exactly enough to buy a cookie, because there were 25 cents plus tax, 27 cents. I bought a cookie, and then I went in the bathroom and drank water out of the faucet, and I bought a cookie.
Wow.
For 27 cents. And then I walked the rest of the way home. And like, just that story to me, like, I don't ever want to live that way again. Like, where we can't afford to catch the bus, we can't afford food, we can't afford to do anything. And like, we had to rely on returning a t-shirt without the receipt, brand new t-shirt that we bought, to get money. And I just, that's like, it's a silly little story to everybody else, but to me, I think about that, and it's like, that makes me continue to work hard, because if I give up today, if I give up for another day, I will end up right back there. I always tell myself that will be you. If you don't continue to bust your ass, continue to work on you, and have the discipline to keep on pushing forward in your personal life and your business, that will be you. And so that makes me continue to push hard, because I don't ever want to walk home from the mall again 3 hours when you're 13 years old. Have to go on your hands and knees to scrape out 27 cents off the floor to buy a cookie so you can eat because you're hungry, and then walk the rest of the way home. Like, I'm not going through that again. So I push, and I always remember that story, and, many other stories that I've been through that continue to give me the discipline to push harder, because I work hard on, my life, like somebody else is out there working just as hard trying to take what I have.
100%. Wow. Oh my God. That's so powerful. And it's a big enough of a why to never let you have to not work hard and move forward to where you need to be. That's pretty dope, man. Thank you so much for sharing.
Of course, my brother. Of course.
With us. Thanks. I'm so glad that we were able to make this happen.
Yes, let's pray that it posts.
it'll fall through. It'll fall through. But thank you so much, and I really hope. Is there anything else you wanted to share with everybody? Feel free.
Yeah, man. I mean, feel free to. I just started getting my YouTube channel active again. So I do YouTube lives, multiple times a week. I've got a bunch of pre-recorded YouTube lives on there. And I'm more active on my YouTube channel. I'm super active on my Instagram and my Facebook. So feel free to add me, follow me on IG. And I share my journey. I share personal, business, life, everything I'm going through. I'm sharing my wins, my losses, and just my journey that I'm taking. And, everyone's welcome to join, and, hopefully, I mean, more people.
And I'm guessing you have a whole different definition for failure now, because it's just facing it, see what you learned, and move on.
That's right. Fail forward, baby.
Thank you so much. Pass me your Instagram links and YouTube so I can put it part of the description.
All right.
It would be awesome. But yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, brother. Boom. Got him, baby.
Thank you so much, man. And I look forward for us to continue talking, perhaps doing some more other interviews and, going deeper in some topics.
Of course, brother. Of course, my friend.
But can't wait till our next interview, because there'll be another milestone that we'll talk about. So it'll be cool.
Awesome, brother. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, brother. Have a beautiful weekend, man. Enjoy it.
Awesome,
Thank you so much again.
You too, brother. We'll chat soon. Peace.
Take care. Bye-bye.